thank you all so much for taking this time to connect with yourself and to connect with this growing online community that we're cultivating. I really, really appreciate it. It's just been so nourishing and so wonderful to get to lead these breathwork and meditation sessions every week. And I thought this week we would focus on this concept of how language shapes our reality. Obviously, it's something that I love, being someone who loves to talk, if you haven't figured that out already, but also someone who really loves to examine and contemplate the power of language, especially the power of language on our psyche, on our ways of being and seeing the world around us and ourselves. We do really perceive so much of reality through metaphor. Most of the time, we're not actually aware that that's how we're processing information, and yet that's how it is. All of your thoughts are constructed in language, right? When we think about a lot of common metaphors that we've grown up with that we don't even really think about, but they're still implanted in us. Things like you've got to work hard to earn a living, or money makes the world go round, or money is the root of all evil. Two very sort of conflicting messages right there, right? Money is the root of all evil, and money makes the world go round. It's no wonder so many of us have unconscious issues with money, but one of the big ones that I've been contemplating for many years now is this metaphor that life is a journey. It's something we've all heard. We've seen bumper stickers and t-shirts and memes and whatnot all about it. And because we just see it and we don't investigate it, we don't meditate upon it, and we don't ask ourselves, is it actually true? We often just cognitively accept it. Life is a journey. Yes, there is a clear beginning, a middle, and an end. We think of our lives in this linear structure, but I have actually found that metaphor, that way of thinking, for me, to be very unhelpful. Because if I consider life to be a journey is a state where I am looking ahead, where I am trying to get somewhere. What is that somewhere? For most of us, I guess it would be happiness, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of like, oh, yes, I did all the right things. I got good grades in school. I got a good job. I found the right partner. I bought the right car. I got the right house in the right neighborhood. But why do I still feel like something's off? Why am I still seeking? Why am I still unfulfilled or unsatisfied with the present moment as it is? This is also the root of the yogic journey, right? Because the yogic journey is also based in that premise that grasping for these outside attainments will not give us the lasting peace, the sustainable state of inner peace that most of us have been searching for all along. And I find that when we think about life as a journey, that kind of complicates it. When have I officially arrived at the destination? Is it when I have published a book? Is it when I have, I don't know, bought a house? It doesn't seem to be that way. It still seems as though that ever elusive satisfaction, that ever elusive happiness is just a mile down the road. I've just got to keep struggling, keep striving, keep pushing, keep hustling, and then I'll get there. And for me, I don't want to buy that story anymore. I found that story to be really unhelpful. It's how I've been living for a long time. So for the last decade or so, I've been trying to work with this and rewrite this story for myself. And Alan Watts, who is, I know many of you know Alan Watts. He is my absolute favorite philosopher. a philosopher of the mid to late 20th century. He's phenomenal. All of his lectures pretty much are available for free on YouTube. And now the kids have been putting music to his lectures, and you can find like Alan Watts chill steps, and it's just amazing. He's brilliant. He's the one who says, who created a new metaphor for life as a journey. He has said, well, what if we think of life as a piece of music? Because when you listen to a song you really love, one of your favorite songs, you're not listening to it hoping for it to end. You're not like, oh, I can't wait to get to the end, to that last final note. He says, if that were the case, orchestra conductors would play really, really fast because they would just be rushing to get to the final note. And it's not like that. When you're listening to music, you're in it. You're actually in it. You're in the present moment. And you actually don't want the present moment to end. That's actually the space of meditation. That's the state of presence, and that presence with the capital P. And the same is true, right, with like dance. If you're in a dance, if you're dancing, you don't want it to end. You're in it. This is the opposite energy, the opposite approach of the metaphor that life is a journey, that we've got to be moving towards something, forward, forward, forward. That cultivates this linear way of perceiving reality. But in the yogic view, or the musical view, perhaps, we can view our lives as occurring right now. Like, what is this note that you're experiencing? And that can be really helpful for us. I think many people are really looking forward to a future right now. They are extremely dissatisfied with their present reality, and it's their thoughts are completely consumed by what's coming ahead. How can I move forward? How can I get out of the situation that I'm in? And obviously I have to be incredibly cognizant and incredibly respectful of the great suffering that a lot of people are going through right now, that their conditions are not nearly as comfortable as mine to just be like in shelter in place for 5 weeks. And so recognizing that and honoring that, and also honoring the reality that we are with our thoughts, and that our thoughts, not all the time, but most of the time, our thoughts are cultivating our experience regardless of our physical reality, right? We've had this experience. You could be in the most beautiful place in the world. Have you ever been in a really beautiful place? Maybe you've been walking along the beach, but your mind might be regurgitating an argument you had with somebody. And even though physically you're in this gorgeous place, you're in a state of stress, you're in a state of distress. Our thoughts are so powerful. So if that's true, if you can be in a beautiful place and your mind can take you to a very ugly destination, the opposite is also true. You can be in physically a state where you're feeling confined, where you're feeling worry and fear, all very real, very valid expressions. I'm absolutely saying that. These are very real states of being. But we can also use the power of our thoughts. And our thoughts are often greatly impacted by the power of the breath. I have found that it's very difficult for me to change my thought patterns with my thought patterns. It's like trying to use the same equipment to fix the equipment that's not functioning the way you want it to. So you bring in some new tools, some new equipment. This is the beauty of yoga. Yoga gives us all kinds of incredibly effective, time-tested tools. And so this is where we'll start to practice and play with the breath work, the pranayama this morning. And the breath, as many of you know, is the bridge between the mind and the body. And it's through the power of the breath that we can bring our thoughts into a space of presence. Because truly, when your thoughts are in a state of distress, they are most likely in the past or in the future, right? And if we can bring ourselves into this space right here, right now, this inhale, this exhale, we can start to shift not only the mind, but our nervous system as well, moving our nervous system out of the fight or flight response and into the relaxation response, the rest and digest response. So let's practice a little bit. Does that sound all right this morning? Okay, fabulous. Awesome. We've had some extra folks join us. Hello, hello. Hey, Carmen. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Fee. Hey, Mom and Dad. Oh my gosh. Yay. My mom and dad are totally on here. Newport Richie represent. So let's go ahead and find a comfortable seat. Finding length across your spine. We'll just start with a few gentle stretches to roll the shoulders forward and up and back and down. Letting your breath synchronize with the movement. As you inhale, roll the shoulders up. As you exhale, slide the shoulders down the back. This will start to help us in slowing down and smoothing out the breath rhythm. It's said in yoga that there is a corresponding breath pattern for every emotional state that you can be in. Any emotional state, there is a specific, unique breath expression. And so here, as we start to just take deeper, fuller breaths, rolling the shoulders around. It might feel good to gently rotate your head and your neck side to side as well. We're sending those signals to the nervous system. You know, we often teach in yoga that when we're clenching our jaw, when we're hugging our shoulders up around our ears, when our breath is unconscious and therefore it's usually sharp and shallow, what is that saying to the nervous system? It's usually signaling to your nervous system like, ooh, state of distress. There should be cause for alarm. There should be cause that I might need to physically protect myself. There's danger. When really, you know, you're probably just on your phone or on your computer watching the news or on social media or maybe, you know, in your car, going to the grocery store or something like that. So here, we're starting to shift those patterns, taking more conscious, deep breaths. You could bring your fingertips to the tops of your shoulders and begin to wheel your elbows around. And again, as you do that, sync up the breath with the movement. Inhaling as the elbows draw out to either side, exhaling as the elbows slide down and forward. Good, beautiful. And then we'll inhale here and send both arms up toward the sky. As you exhale, let's twist to the right, bringing the left arm in front of the legs. You could do this if you're sitting in a chair or if you're like me, sitting on the floor, legs crossed. Lightly bringing your right fingertips back behind you, still keeping the shoulders stacked over the hips. Relaxed in the mouth, relaxed around your eyes. And then inhale, spiral back to center, send the arms up. And as you exhale, twist over to the other side. Inhale, accessing that length, that lift. Breathing out into the twist, just gently wringing out the spine, shoulders soft. The left fingertips behind you are so light. We're not leaning into that back hand. And then slowly spiral back to center. Send the arms up here. Take another deep breath in. Really lift through the abdomen. Lift through your heart. And as you exhale, slide your hands back to center, resting thumbs at the sternum. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale with a sigh. Inhale, send the fingertips up toward the sky. As you exhale, release your right hand down, just a little side bend here. Both hips grounded. If you're in a chair, you could just be bringing your hand to the side of the chair, Left arm stretching up and overhead. Perhaps you peel the heart open a little more here, broadening across your collarbones. No extra effort in the neck, keeping the back of the head in line with your tailbone. Just breathing down the left side of the body. Maybe you can feel that expansion across the side of your ribs. And then inhale, come back to center, both arms up and overhead. Exhale, melt the left hand down, sweeping over to the side. Breathing in along the right side body. With every inhale, there is the quality of expansion. With every exhale, a soft release. As you inhale, we'll rise back to center. Both palms connect. Exhale. Hands return to your heart. Take this moment to thank yourself. Thank yourself for making this time to move out of the busyness of the mind, to move out of that state of mental chatter, and to reconnect inward. Sometimes it's so difficult to hear what's really true for us, what's really true for you, when our head is so filled with the noise of the world. It's very difficult to actually sift through all the information we are constantly bombarded with. So this is our practice of just quieting down, grounding down. And we'll move into a grounding gesture. This is the Bu Mudra, B-H-U. It's where you bring your peace fingers, your index and mid fingertips, down to the ground on either side of you. So if you are sitting on the floor, your fingertips will be connected to the floor by your hips, or if you're sitting on a chair, bringing the fingertips to the chair is perfect. Still sitting up tall. At any point, you can change the positioning in your legs. If you are sitting cross-legged, feel free to switch the cross and the legs. As we dive in a little deeper, feeling grounded through these points of connection to the earth, grounded through the pads of the index fingers, mid fingers, across your hips, across your legs. The energy of busyness, of information, of chatter, it is very heady. It's all up in the head. And so to get centered and to move into the inner space, it's helpful to get grounded, to start to bring your attention down, feeling anchored right where you are, right in this present moment. Breathing in and breathing out deeply. We'll move more consciously into 3-part breath, the long breath, the full yogic breath. As you inhale, imagine the breath traveling down into the base of your lungs, a little softness in the belly. As you exhale, feel your navel hug back toward your spine. Inhale down into the base of the belly. Exhale, navel pulls back. Breathe in, deep, soft. Breathe out, the breath releases. Let the awareness move upward across the solar plexus and the side ribs. Inhaling, expanding, exhaling, releasing. As you inhale, it's almost like the gills of a fish. We expand across the rib cage, take in oxygen, exhale, let it go. Maybe you feel that lift and that spaciousness, that expansion on every inhale across the front, the sides, the back of the ribs. This practice will strengthen and enhance your lung capacity. As you now bring your awareness to the third part of three-part breath, up into the buoys of the upper lungs, the collarbones where the top of the lungs rest. Inhaling, feeling a little lift, a little spaciousness here. Exhale, navel still pulling back toward the spine, breath releases. Now we'll thread these three components together. And you might find that it feels good to even now place one hand on your low belly and one hand over your heart, so you can sense in more concretely to the waves of the breath. I titled this session this week, The Flow of Life. And really what that means is this, right here. The flow of your life is not about trying to get anywhere or trying to achieve anything. The flow of your life is just this moment, this breath. And it's expressed, it's mirrored as a wave. Breathing in, softness, space, rising up. Exhaling, the breath empties and releases. The navel hugs back toward the spine. All the muscles in the face are relaxed. Relaxed across your shoulders. Relaxed across your hips. Soft in the center of your palms and the soles of your feet. At any time, you could readjust the hand position. Perhaps just now resting your arms comfortably on your lap. Palms could be turned upward or downward. Attention drawing deeper inward. If we think about life not so much in this metaphor of a journey, but as expansion and contraction, then you might find it allows us to enter into the present moment without so much strife or struggle or secretly wishing we were being more productive or getting somewhere. When in reality, the whole of yogic philosophy teaches us that we have already arrived. You are already here. All that you are seeking exists right here in this present moment. Breathing in deeply. Breathing out completely, really emptying the breath. We'll layer on now a little ujjayi breath. This is optional. You can always stay with the three-part breath or just a nice natural breath if that feels more appropriate for you and your practice this morning. The ujjayi breath, as we practiced last week, and I know many of you were with me then, many of you are familiar with this technique. It's lovingly known, of course, as the Darth Vader breath, but it's not as gruff as that. And we'll actually practice it in a much more gentle way this morning. There's a subtle engagement in the throat as you inhale and exhale. Almost as if you were trying to whisper with your mouth closed. So it's an internal whisper. It's kind of like you were trying to fog up a mirror. That's the same action in the throat, that but the mouth is closed. So the sound is more subtle. We want to keep the volume equal on inhale and exhale. And there's a tendency to really make the exhale super Darth Vader, super powerful, but be more conscious about it. Be more engaged with the practice. Keep bringing your mind, keep bringing your attention back to the technique, back to your seat, back to this moment. Keep the volume equal on inhale and exhale. You can combine these two techniques, 3-part breath and ujjayi, dirga and ujjayi. Keeping the action in the throat, the engagement in the throat, creating that whooshing sound like the waves, like the ocean, crashing into the shore, only to be repeated again and again in this rhythmic cycle, while also combining that by breathing deep down into the lower lungs, letting the breath rise up like a wave across solar plexus, across collarbones, exhaling, emptying. Inhaling from the navel, solar plexus, heart, exhaling, letting go. And if you are practicing the ujjayi breath, you can relax it, release it. Just let the breath be easy now. Notice how you feel. We don't have to analyze that. You could just simply observe. Not thinking about it, just sensing into it. Let whatever arises, arise. Let whatever thoughts arise, arise. I wanted to share with you some words by one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver, who I know many of you also know. She is the jam, and she has a beautiful poem called Today. Today, I am flying low, and I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all of the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes on as it must. The bees in the garden rumbling a little. The fish leaping. The gnats getting eaten. And so forth. But I'm taking the day off. Quiet as a feather. I hardly move, though really I'm traveling a terrific distance. Stillness, one of the doors into the temple. So let's just take another deep breath. Really fill up into the tops of the lungs. Exhale with a deep sigh, letting go. If your eyes are closed, feel free to open them. You can enjoy another little stretch here. Maybe twist again. If you're seated on the floor, or of course in a chair, it might feel good to extend out your legs. It might feel nice to stretch the arms up and overhead. We can rotate the head and the neck in semicircles from side to side. I just love how Mary Oliver says, I hardly move, though I'm really traveling a terrific distance. Stillness, one of the doors into the temple. Oh, she just always gets me, you know, that Mary Oliver. She just cuts right in, right in. So I hope you enjoyed that poem and a little bit of breath work. We'll do another round in just a moment. I just wanted to give us a little stretch break, engage the temp of the group. How you guys doing? You can throw me a thumbs up if your video screen is on. Okay, awesome. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Great. Thanks, Catherine, Stephanie. Wonderful. Yeah. Great. I'm so happy to. Thank you, Fee. Awesome. Well, I'm glad. And that's the thing. Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that. Great, Ashley. That's the thing. I know a lot of you guys on this session today, you've been practicing for a while, and many of you also teach and share. And these techniques are simple at their heart, right? And from the outside, it doesn't look like we're doing all that much. That's actually how I introduce meditation to beginners. You know, beginners are usually very, very trepidatious about meditation. They are like, what is this? What is this voodoo that this person is trying to teach me? And I'll usually just make a joke and say, like, look, you know, this is one of my favorite things to do. It's like we're doing nothing, and yet we're doing everything. How great is that? Oh, what a relief. Yes, right, Stephanie. It is a challenge getting people to do meditation. The other thing is we are so unpracticed. We are so unskilled in stillness and in giving ourselves permission. Aside from the physical discomfort of sitting still for a little while, which those of you who have been practicing, you know that it gets easier and easier and easier and easier. And for those who haven't gotten to that threshold yet, I can promise you, it does get easier, my friends. It does. But the mind is so unused to being still. This is why I think the metaphor of the journey works so well for the modern mind. We have taken in those words. No one was trying to sabotage us. No one was trying to like implant this thought. It just became a cultural, collective, agreed upon story that we kept repeating and repeating. And if you repeat something long enough, you start to believe it, right? You know? Money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees, yada, yada, yada. If you hear it enough, you find yourself saying it to somebody else. Has that ever happened to you? I found that with myself, where like I'll hear something and then like a week later, I'm saying it to somebody else and I'm like, oh no, I haven't examined this thought thoroughly enough. I'm just parroting it out. But I tend to overthink things. I love overthinking things. So anyway, this metaphor of life as a journey really works for a busy mind because it's like, oh, well, what's next? Okay, well, I finished that. Well, now what's next? I finished that show. What's the next show? I finished that project. What's the next project? I achieved this thing. What's the next thing? I got this many followers on Instagram. But look, that person over there, they've got way more than me. I got to get more. Always. The cycle will churn and churn and churn. And then by the time you know it, you're dead. And that's why we can take back our life. We can take back our life from being a journey with some destination that we're trying to get to and just let ourselves arrive right here. We are actually right here in this moment. And it is challenging. And that's why it's so important. That's why it's so powerful, right? It's the medicine that I think many of us can benefit from. But we're the only ones who can give ourselves that medicine. So let's do another round of medicine. And this time we'll add in alternate nostril breathing, which again, we practiced last week as well. And I know many of you are familiar with this technique. So feel free to just dive right in, and I'll explain it for those who might be a little unfamiliar with it. So today's practice is a little more chill, a little more soothing than the practices that we've done the last 2 weeks. Partly that was just a little selfish on my end. I woke up this morning feeling like I really needed to ground and soothe. So good. I think yeah, awesome. I think a lot of us, can really we don't need a ton of breath of fire, maybe, these days. The world is fiery enough. We need to calm, center, ground, nourish. So let's do that. Alternate nostril breathing. Classically, this is practiced with the right hand, but we are modern householder practitioners. You may practice with the left hand if you choose. You don't have to use the hand gesture because this is alternate nostril breathing. If one side of your nose is feeling a little more congested today, like you really can't even breathe out of it, then you don't have to work with the hand. You can just simply imagine breathing in one side of the nose or one side of the body, exhaling down the other side, inhaling up that side, and exhaling down. Our thoughts are so powerful, so just imagining the technique will also work. Nadi Shodhana is the name of this technique, and it translates to channel cleansing breath. In yogic philosophy, in the science of yoga, we know that we're much more than just flesh and bone and blood and brain circuitry and neural synapses and biochemistry, that there is a whole complex of subtle energy that courses through us, that has this intrinsic intelligence. And it is the same intrinsic intelligence that permeates through all life, this prana. In other traditions, it's known as ki or chi, which we see in embodied philosophies such as Tai Chi, Qigong, Reiki. We have prana, as it's known in the yogic tradition. The channel cleansing breath is designed to purify and open up the channels of subtle life force energy, this luminous vitality within you. When it is open and flowing within you, you feel alive, you feel present, grateful, joyful, tapped in. When it's low or not really vibrant, feeling a little down, when, as often we say, when your energy's blocked, you can feel disconnected, agitated, dull, lethargic, depressed, confused. And so this technique is really gentle, but very powerful. So if you'd like to use the hand gesture, you can take your peace fingers again, tuck them into your palm, or keep them extended and rest them on your third eye point, the brow point between your eyebrows, using your right thumb and right ring finger like a toggle. Right thumb will gently come to the right nostril, and you could also tuck your peace fingers in. Right? So they're either extended on the brow or tucked in. Thumb and ring finger, like a toggle. Right thumb lightly resting on the right nostril. You'll inhale slowly and gently through the left side. We're not forcing at all. Close off the nose at the top of the breath. Release your thumb, and then exhale down the right side. We'll stay for the inhale. Breathe in. Close off the nose at the top. Release the ring finger, and exhale down the left side. Stay on that side as you inhale. Breathe in. Just very gentle. Ring finger to nose. Release the thumb. Exhale right side. And then inhale right side. Thumb to the nose. Release the ring finger and breathe out slowly and completely. Inhale. Left side. Close off the nose at the top of the inhale. Release the thumb. Exhale. Stay on this side as you inhale. Close off the nose and switch as you exhale. We'll continue at your own pace, just remembering to switch as you exhale. The spine is tall, shoulders are stacked over your hips, crown of your head gently lengthening upward toward the sky. Chin is parallel to the earth or slightly tucked. We're not drawing the chin down, but we're not lifting the chin up and causing undue pressure on the neck and cervical spine. The next time you exhale down the left side of the nose, you can relax the arm. Keep the eyes closed. If they're closed, dive inside and simply notice. Just observe. Sense into the afterglow of this technique. Any impressions of the technique? You might be returning to the Dirga breath, 3-part breath. Soft in the belly as you inhale at the breath, expand across the side ribs, across your heart, exhaling fully, emptying. Expansion and contraction. I find that both of the alternative metaphors I've presented for you today, instead of the journey, that life is like a piece of music, life is a song or a dance, and that life is expansion and contraction. That perhaps these might be helpful alternatives that you can play with, or just start exploring. Let your mind experiment over there in that field for a little while. As we see, if you've ever witnessed a time-lapse aerial view of forests, now forests are breathing. We know this. I've seen incredible footage from satellites, how forests affect the planet and how you can see different plants as they bloom open their leaves during the day, and then they contract back in at night, and then they bloom back open the next day, and they contract back in at night. And it's just that expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction. Just a couple of moments before I sat down to open up this Zoom session for us, I happened to see my Tao Te Ching copy in my living room, and I grabbed it and I was like, oh yeah, let me share a Tao verse today. And I just randomly opened it. So this is our random Tao verse for today, and I think it's incredibly appropriate. I probably couldn't have gone wrong because it's the Tao, and yet it feels like it was chosen for us this morning in our practice together. This is verse 26 from Stephen Mitchell's translation of the Tao Te Ching. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus, the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? Let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus, the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? Let yourself be blown to and fro, and you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. So let's take just another few deep breaths. Opening the eyes if they were closed. Getting some more stretches in. We can stretch the arms up and overhead. Maybe tipping over to one side and then the other. It can feel really good to extend the legs out. Flexing through the feet, spreading through the toes, pushing the heels away from the hips, lifting up through the deep center of the core, maybe rolling the shoulders around a little more. If you are seated on the floor, it might feel good to come into a butterfly position, bringing the soles of the feet together, knees drawn outward. Hands can be on your shins. I'll back up a little bit. And we'll inhale and lift and broaden across the chest. Hands just pressing into your legs. And as you exhale, keep the arms extended, chin to chest, round across your back. Inhale, scoop the heart forward, lift and lengthen, maybe lift the chin. Exhale, round the back, press the hands into the legs. It's like a cow and cat movement in the spine, but in this butterfly pose. Just letting the breath sync up with the movement once again. And then we can come back to center. You can extend your right leg forward, keeping the left foot to the inside of the right thigh, flexing your extended leg. Stretch the arms all the way up, and then as you exhale, tip forward. Just take a nice deep bow over the extended leg, pushing the right heel away. Grounded across the right leg, slowly roll up. We can bend the left knee pointing up toward the ceiling. Coming into another gentle twist, you can wrap your right arm forward, spiraling your left fingertips back behind you. Take a deep breath in, sit up tall, exhale to twist. Slowly spiral back to center and switch legs. Extend out your left leg, coming into Janu Shirshasana, head to knee, and the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. That right knee can just drape out to the side comfortably, really active through your left leg. Breathe in, stretch the arms up toward the sky, lift through your heart, lift through your abdomen, exhale, dive forward, pouring the chest forward. So we're not just kind of collapsing down. We want to go forward here. It doesn't matter how far you go. Just let your hands relax and fall wherever they fall. Leg, floor. If you're in a chair, you might just be folding over your legs in the chair. And then slowly roll back up. Point the left knee up. You can twist in a chair or on the floor here. Spiraling the right arm back behind you. You can sweep your left arm in front of the bent knee. Breathe in, rise up through the crown. Breathe out, gentle twist. Bringing out the back. And then slowly return back to center here. And just feel free, shake out the hands. Make any other gentle wiggles or adjustments that feel good today. We'll take a nice deep breath in, sweeping the arms up toward the sky one more time. Exhale, melt your hands down to your heart. Take this moment to thank yourself once again for being here. We all know that's the hardest part of any of these practices, is just showing up. So send yourself some really heartfelt appreciation. Send your body some gratitude, this amazing body. Send this breath, this life force, your appreciation. Sending out a little appreciation to all the other folks on this Zoom call today who decided to take the time and show up and practice. And I thank you so much for being here. I bow to you. Namaste. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace. Thank you, my sweet friends. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you guys. Om Shanti. Namaste, Stephanie. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, good. I'm so glad, Ashley. I so appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm really glad. I've been meaning to join your classes too. They look wonderful and magical. So keep doing what you're doing, girl. Thank you so much, Catherine. Namaste. Yes. Oh, good. I'm so glad. That's awesome, Kent. I'm glad. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephanie. So much love to you. I miss you too. I know. It's nice that we get to at least connect through these ways. So I will be doing this again next Sunday. And for those who are in the Shadow and Light course, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night. So that's awesome. I know some of you guys are on here that will be on there. So that's super fun. And yeah, it's gonna be a really good session, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm really excited for next week's breathwork and meditation as well. Yeah, absolutely. It is so easy to forget as teachers how much we need to take this time for ourselves. Oh, girl, don't I know it? And actually, it's funny because one of the homework pieces in the Shadow and Light online course that I just relaunched, one of our homework pieces this past week to start identifying what's actually in your shadow is to look at the advice you give to other people, because usually the advice that we're giving out is like what we actually need to hear. And now that I've really been paying attention to it, it's been so apparent for me this week. I'm telling everybody, like, well, meditation. I've been saying that for years, and I really need to be meditating more myself. I'm telling everybody, now's this time. You got to read these books. I have stacks of books that are going completely unread on my shelves. Yeah. Attend our own lectures, as they say. So, Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially, when you love teaching and you love to share and you love to give, and that's also nourishing. It's easy to just get caught up in that, right? Give, 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 teach, teach, teach. We forget, oh wait, I have to receive. I have to do it for myself too. That, I think, sometimes is even more challenging than the compulsion to just keep and teach and give. So good. I'm really glad you took this time for yourself. Um, Not putting pressure on myself right now. Yes, exactly. I didn't read the article, but I saw there was an article going around in the old interwebs, that they've termed the stress that so much of what the collective is feeling is allostatic load. And that's why so many people are feeling fatigued. It's like people are like, I'm not even doing anything, but I'm exhausted. And part of it is, of course, right, our confrontation with uncertainty, our confrontation with very real actual dilemmas. I'm not trying to just sit here on my lotus petal and be like, oh, we're confronting uncertainty for the first time, but the yogic sages, they knew all along that life is uncertain. Like, yes, there's that. And also people are, worried about how they're going to feed their families. And that's very real. And that's very important. So this is part of the path of being an engaged yogic practitioner. I was actually just having a conversation with a friend last night, a fellow teacher and practitioner, and she was saying, like, we're not meditating in the caves, we're meditating in the world. And that's part of it. We are not ascetics, we're not monks, we are practitioners, we are householders, we are living in the world. It's arguably more difficult, right? We have relationships, we have bills to pay, we are living in this complex, beautiful web where we are truly interconnected with one another. And yeah, it's that's why I think these techniques are so essential to keep us centered, to keep us grounded, to keep us remembering, and able to discern what is true for us, and to listen to that deep inner wisdom as well, so that we can work with allostatic load, brain fog, fatigue, all the things that we're rightfully feeling in this unique, incredible time in history. Good. Have a beautiful week, Catherine. All right. Yeah. As always, if you guys have any questions or comments or answers or suggestions or feedback, I am totally here for that. You can always send me an email. My email is melissacarrollyoga@gmail.com. And that's the best way to get in touch with me. Melissa Carroll, CarrollYoga@gmail.com. And if you do feel compelled to donate anything, my Venmo is, I can type that in the chat box, for just like a one-time donation of any amount is super appreciated. Or I also have a Patreon account for $5, $15, or $35 a month, and that gets you lots of other guided meditations and yoga videos, one of which I am uploading today. So if you're curious about any of that, you can always shoot me an email too. I really appreciate you guys showing up. By no means do you have to donate. I started these just as free, and then I just added like the donate option. So it's totally optional. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for your presence, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone. Namaste.